just to, I would like to amend the proposed budget so that all budget lines which represent the football team's expenditures be excluded. That's what I'm trying to get at here, yes.
Let's just get the, get the motion out there and then we'll see if it's,
Right.
seconded, but then we still need to get a, we can't even have a conversation yet until we get a majority of the people to support it.
Right, we have to have a motion on the table in order to discuss.
Okay, so we've had a second, so discussion, correct?
Right.
All right, so we'll have the discussion. Okay.
So, yes, the motion is, as we know, is to cut the football program completely out of the budget, revenue and expenditure.
Yeah. Okay. Last night, well, actually about a week or so ago, and then again last night, I got a call from a 91-year-old woman who was so upset last week. She said, what can I do? And I said, come to the forum, express your opinion. She said, I don't go out at night, honey. 91 years old, but she's upset. She still cares about this district. She said everybody she talks to is opposed to it. Sitting there listening to Mr. Zini, my own personal feelings, if we are in a strong position, if we have the money, I could live with letting it go, just my own feelings. However, I am more concerned that there are so many people out there who are so opposed to it. Now, this 91-year-old woman turned in a petition, I know Mr. Welcome has it, with 30 names on it. Okay, I have to get 34 names to run for the board, and I think that's kind of, it'll take time, and it's not easy. She got 30 names.
There's 50,
like
60
that.
football players.
Okay. I know at church the other day, somebody stopped Mr. Naramore. I had to go somewhere, so I didn't linger to get in on the conversation. Someone else upset about football. I have heard it over and over. Okay? People say to me, it's a small vocal group that wants football, but people don't want it. Now, regardless of what I hear as an individual, because that's random, our exit survey 2 years ago was loud and clear. And it wasn't because Mr. Chandler added it at the last minute. And he did that, and there were reasons for the way it happened, because we had been told right up until the day before we could have it as a separate proposition. So we didn't have a lot of time, and he made that decision to do that, but we know it happened, okay? The budget went down because people in this community do not want football, period. They had made it clear before Mr. Chandler added it, and they made it clear when they voted 2 years ago. So in my opinion, and I don't blame Mr. Zini, and he will accept whatever this board decides. The responsibility is with the Board of Education. Now, to my thinking, including football, puts this wonderful budget with all the good we can do with that $650,000 that came in at risk. Okay, these kids, that's another story. But we can't risk all of this for something that the community told us very plainly they didn't want, and they're still saying they don't want it. And that's why I'm giving the board the opportunity to decide, are we leaving it in or not? Now, I don't know where people stand, especially since we got that $650,000. I know my position hasn't changed because the community's position hasn't changed. So that's my rationale.
Thank you. Any other discussion? John?
This auditorium holds 750 people. There are about 450 kids that participate in the athletic program. We obviously recognize the importance of the athletic program because we have 450 kids that participate. And we tout those accomplishments. We are proud of that. When we talk about the number of kids that participate, we include football. It's been going on for 4 years. When we talk about the improved behavior, the improved attendance, the improved academics, it includes football. It includes all of it. When we talk about scholar athlete teams that we are all proud of, we are proud of these accomplishments. It includes football. When we talk about school spirit improvements, that absolutely includes football. We talk about attendance at all the sporting events or sport-related activities. It includes football. 450 kids, that's about the whole center of this auditorium. 60 of them play football. That's what? The first, 5 rows? We put the same expectations on these kids that we put on all of the other kids in terms of how they represent the school and how proud we are of their accomplishments. And yet, the first 60 kids, they don't get to go out and play without fundraising. It is absolutely unfair. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't know how anyone would say that it is fair. And because we may think that it's current public sentiment that it's okay, or that that's what current public sentiment desires or wishes, that doesn't make it okay. And if current public sentiment happens to be that I don't support football, I don't believe it is our responsibility to sit back and merely be a mirror. I think that we also need to educate and inform. There's plenty of objective information out there about these programs. And it's not football. It is a school-related activity that gets kids connected and engaged. It happens to be football in this instance because we had a pilot program that has proven itself to be successful by all measures. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised. Somebody obviously supports it. We tout the accomplishments. They're on our website. They're out there. They're wearing the school colors. They're riders. I mean, they're part of the athletic program. They're part of the school community. Go to the website. We have links to the accomplishments that these kids have done over the past 4 years, to news articles. On the website, we talk about the scholar athlete teams. We don't just say scholar athletes. We list the teams. It includes football. There should be a big freaking footnote that this school doesn't support it. If that's the position, it's not. And again, and there was a reason a couple of years ago that we could not put it on as a separate proposition. You can't put it on as a separate proposition because it is part of the program component of public education. You can't peel pieces off, put it out there to the current wind of public sentiment. If that is the way things were handled, some communities would be a reflection of a part of that I would certainly not want to be a part of. It would not necessarily be in the best interest of the kids. That's it.
Anyone else?
In all honesty, I would have preferred not voting this particular motion, but I will support it. And I also suspect when we vote on the superintendent's budget, that I'll be in a position of voting against that budget as well. And I really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who was here a couple of weeks ago. I had indicated at that time that I was leaning towards not supporting a budget with the football program in it. My reasons for doing so went back to 2011, when I made a very, as I found, very unpopular choice to support putting football before the voters. And my feelings at that time were that the football parents, the kids that were engaged in the football program, had worked too hard to not have the opportunity to prove their case before the public. I had some doubts as to whether the straw polls that had been taken in the past years and that had consistently shown that 60% of the community did not want to publicly fund the football program might have changed. And I think, as we all know, when the vote came out, the 60-40 percentage opposing public support of football continued to show up at the polls. And I think because of the way the issue was put before the voters, which seemed to be at the last minute, it certainly inflamed a lot of people. But I do believe that no major change in community sentiment has taken place over the past several years. I may be wrong, but several weeks ago, I urged anybody who had changed their mind to make it known. I've heard from nobody in support of the football program. I have heard a lot of folks who have said we just can't afford it, particularly since we have already done so much damage in the classroom over the past 4 or 5 years. We're remedying this. I find a lot to admire in the budget that Mr. Zinni presented. I also appreciate the fact that we brought the tax levy down. Whether it's down far enough, I can't say, but I have heard from a lot of folks who are on fixed income that were very concerned about initial projections. 2.9% may be a little more palatable, and I'm glad some of that state aid that came out of the blue has been applied to tax relief. I would also observe that what the state can provide, the state can take away. And I'm not convinced that we are completely out of the woods yet. And I'm reluctant, in light of that, to introduce funding for a program that historically the taxpayers of the district have not supported. So, as I said before, I think this budget has been developed without malice. I think that everybody wants to see what is best for the students of the district, regardless of where they come down on the football issue. And I think above all else, we'd love to see this resolved. So I know where I'll be voting. I do hope that if the vote goes against where I think it is likely to go, that we can all get around the program. If the budget does go down, I hope we have a clear indication as to why, and that we can begin grappling with the many, many other issues that some of us feel are of equal or greater importance than the one that has dominated the discussion over the past 4 years. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I will call for the vote on Mindy. Call the vote on amending the amount of money in the proposal to exclude any line items that refer to football. That's it? Okay. All right. Those in favor of that motion, raise your hand. Those opposed to that motion, raise your hand. And any abstentions? That motion is defeated.